Howdy, folks, and welcome back to ARK University. Professor Bowden Maddox here with my teacher's assistant, Astrid Maddox. And we're going to teach you today, or talk a bit about navigating around the island. Now, when you first spawn on the island, it's a different world. I remember when I first started playing ARK Survival Evolved, the first time I spawned on the island, I had not read a wiki. I didn't really know anything about the game, and it was really confusing, especially when I joined on a multiplayer server with a bunch of my friends and we tried to find each other. When you spawn basically on beaches. It's hard to describe where you are. Everything kind of looks the same. They've made some changes in that regard lately because they've started creating different biomes. But for the most part, it's really hard to describe where you are to somebody else. Now, one thing you can do is you can look for these towers. Like up there, you've got a green tower. And you've also, if you look around, you're on different parts of the island, you can see a red tower and a blue tower. But you don't always see those towers. If you're up there in those woods, or if I'm too close to this rock, I no longer see, if I get close enough. Say I'm wandering along and somebody says, "Are you near the green tower?" And you're like, "I don't know what tower you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. What's green? All the plants are green." You get a lot of that confusion going on for navigating early on in the game. Definitely. But if you're lucky enough to be on an inhabited server, you could say something like, "I'm near this bridge that connects one side of this inlet to another side of this inlet, and there's open sea and an island beyond." Somebody might be able to figure out what you're talking about in that regard. So there's a lot of that describing going on in the early part of the game. Another thing you can do when you try to figure out what direction you're going, if somebody says, head west, is the sun and the moon do kind of follow rising in the east, setting in the west, sort of, logic. And if that's the sun up there, it's really hard to see with my current settings. In fact, it's really hard to see with any settings, but you can kind of tell that's where the sun is supposed to be. So that is basically the east, because I'm early in the morning. If you hold down your H key, you can see I'm at 11 a.m. And it's not high noon yet. That's pretty much the eastern direction, which it is on the map. And then it'll set over there in the west. So that'll help a little bit as well. I talked about the towers. When you can see those are good to describe. In fact, I was so early on in this game when I first played it that I didn't even know how many towers there were. I didn't know what colors there were. At some point I thought there were 4. And then I didn't know the colors properly. I thought there was a white tower. It was just really confusing game in the beginning. I can understand that completely. Landmarks, like I talked about. Landmarks and things that have already built on the server are good to talk about, such as this bridge, if you were to see it. Landmarks such as tall mountains. There's a volcano that you can't see from here. You've probably all seen it in various videos. But there is a volcano way back there. It's just impossible to see from the ground. Now, the game changes drastically once you can take flight, right? Because once you can take flight, you can describe your surroundings really, really well. So I could say, for instance, I can tell that there's a white tower or a blue tower way the heck over there. And there's the volcano straight in front of us, the tallest peak in the map on the island. So I could say to somebody, I'm on the southeast corner of the map, past Green Tower. And if they're really close, you can say there's a white drop coming down right now. You can say these sorts of things when you can see a lot more from the air. You can definitely do that. You can also use your map. Now, when you come in for the first time, your map is pretty much empty. It'll only start filling out as you go to different parts of the map. Now, I've been everywhere in this world. That's why I have a completely filled-in map. But even if you don't have a completely filled-in map, if you're lucky enough to be on a server that has a little pin that says "me" on it, or even if you're not, if you're brand new on the server, you're only going to see where you are on the map. So you can say to somebody, I'm at latitude on the left. You could say I'm at 80, 83, 84 by 80, or by 78. And they can kind of figure out where you are based on their maps and just following their maps. Of course, if they happen to be lucky enough at this point to have a GPS, you can see that you're at 75, 81. You can even tell them 75.6, 81.5. Or they can use that to guide themselves in the right direction. You notice the GPS has a compass at the top too, saying that I'm pointing to the north here, where I said this is the east. Sure enough, it is. And that's the west over there. And you can see that as well. And there is a compass which you can build pretty early on that will tell you similar things. For instance, never figured out how to use compasses. in real life either. But I am supposedly, if I point this, that's always going to point true north. That's right. The little blue nub is always going to point true north. So there's the north, right? So if I line that up with the north, I now know that east is to my right and west is to my left, which is correct, and south is beneath me. So you can use the compass as well. Another really cool trick to helping yourself navigate around, or especially to find friends. And that's really the reason we want to navigate, right? We want to be able to get where our friends are, or to get together on a new server, is to use what's called flare guns. Let me demonstrate a flare gun to you. Flare guns are an exceptionally easy thing to craft in the game, and you learn them fairly early on. They're learned at low level, only require 6 Ingram points, and you can also find your compass and your GPS in your Ingrams at low level too. Well, GPS is a bit higher, but compass definitely, and flare guns pretty early, but GPS is much higher up. And GPS, both the compass and the flare gun can be crafted in hand. In fact, let's go ahead and craft 9 of them right now. All it requires is some wood, some fiber, some gunpowder, and some spark powder, which are also low-level Ingrams that you can learn. GPS is much higher, and it requires a fabricator to construct, which requires electronics and some other things. So that's a more advanced topic. But if you have a flare gun, you can, if you're trying to guide somebody to where you are, you can say, you know, I'm at this location, and they think they're close. You can point up in the sky, especially at night, and pop a flare. Just fire it. It's a one-use item. I had made a fuse, so another one popped into my hands, and you'll see that it explodes. And at night, it really lights up the area. It lights you up completely down on the ground as this light slowly falls to the ground. And little flares shoot out from time to time, but you can see there's a burning ball kind of waddling its way towards the ground. And if you want to get really clever, if you've found some flare gun skins, you can fire some fireworks into the air, which is just really good fun. Boom! Red, white, blue, all sorts of different colors. Really cool stuff. All right, folks, I hope that helped you a little bit with regard to how to navigate around the island and how to talk to people about where you are and figure out where you are and how to get different directions. I hope you found that educational in some way. Thank you for watching. The brightness is coming down to me from 2 different flares. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.